You know when a point is worth the fight, when to give in, and when to walk away. How will you know what to ask for in the first place? Before getting cued at the negotiating table, you have to understand your business goals and your options, including the legal terms with which to achieve them. Otherwise, your art will backfire. In my many business negotiations, I've always been amazed that the other side will ask for something that is less advantageous to them than the deal they already have, notes one of my clients. This book starts by examining the various agreements that practitioners have to negotiate before actually sitting down to talk about the acquisition agreement. These include confidentiality agreements, standstill agreements, exclusivity agreements, and letters of intent or memoranda of understanding. These agreements protect the parties from economic disadvantage due to the deal process, set rules for the negotiations, and define preliminary objectives. Separate chapters of this book show how the core elements of an acquisition agreement, that is, purchase price mechanics and adjustments, representations, covenants, conditions, material adverse effect clauses, financing contingencies and reverse breakup fees, fiduciary outs to top a public deal and indemnities, function within the context of a deal. Each chapter explains how a component is negotiated in real life with the purpose of creating value for and balancing risks between the parties. Comparing various strategies for solving business problems, some methods to provide for rough justice, while other approaches are more refined. Transaction techniques often make a difference, and sometimes all the difference. The chapters include war stories to demonstrate potential pitfalls and bring out the relevance of certain techniques. In addition, statistics on how deal terms are negotiated in practice give an overview with regard to the prevalence of certain provisions and thus a sense for the market. Finally, sample provisions from actual contracts model the language that make a particular deal work. This book next analyzes the overall framework of an acquisition agreement. It examines the different deal structures, that is, stock sales, mergers, asset sales, and complex structures, and lays out the criteria according to which practitioners choose or should choose between them. War stories. War stories from practice bring home the flavor of what is at stake in actual deals, highlighting why drafting matters. The crux of each story elucidates the problems the parties grappled with, sidelined, or simply overlooked. Their successes and failures show the lessons learned. After all, to understand and laugh at the mistakes of others is the best way to appreciate why a point is important. War story. 30 war stories reveal the workings of deal terms by way of example. The core issues at stake are conceptually based on a true story, but they are all works of fiction. Each mistake and problem described in those sections has happened in practice. The stories that go with them, however, bear no relationship to actual transactions. Any correlation to any real parties or lawyers, especially those who made mistakes or ended up on the wrong side of unexpected events, is purely coincidental. The market. Lawyers have been slow to quantify their expertise, but with the passage of time and the continuously improving ease with which lawyers can gather and crunch the numbers on other deals, a more quantitative mindset is filtering into practice. This book uses quantitative analyses to see how deals fit into observable patterns of the marketplace, while at the same time cautioning against a simplifying, precedent-oriented approach to deal-making. After all, a weighted average set of terms would, in fact, suit no one, and the examination of any one deal point in a vacuum can lead the parties to overlook the interactions among deal points or the specific needs of the parties at hand. Nevertheless, as quantitative studies of transaction terms begin to proliferate, deal-makers will more frequently be pushed by the force of precedent into standardized provisions, paving the way for majority terms to become